Hello there everybody, this is Krista and welcome back to the Krista Chronicles. And today we're doing a very exciting VR to a tag put out by Imogen from Sapling Tarot. This is Tarot Bartender, which I just thought was such a fun and genius idea. And I immediately made my list. It's taken me a bit to just get around to filming, but I've had my list for, like, truly since they came out with this video. I'm gonna put a link to their original video below, of course. So definitely check that out if you haven't seen it already, because I absolutely loved all their choices. And just, again, the idea behind this I think is so fun. I love doing tags like this. So without further ado, I think we should just get into it. Starting out with, oh, should I say the concept? I guess I should. So, Tarot Bartender, what Imogen has done is taken a selection of very classic, popular cocktails and come up with questions around each of those cocktails, kind of like inspired by the cocktail. So let's get into it. First one being the old-fashioned. This is your favorite classic tarot deck or riff on a classic. I went with the classic version, like my favorite class. I don't know what else to say, their favorite classic. I'll just show it before I explain that weird. My personal favorite classic tarot, I guess I should say though, I'm really not one to use like one of the real classic decks. I don't know, it's not really my thing, to be honest. But if I'm going to do so, it's gonna be this baby. This is the Albano Waite. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Albano Waite version of the Rider-Waite-Smith. So it is an RWS direct clone, but it's one with these backs. And I just really like the coloring of this one. And honestly, that's all there is to it. Oh, however, though, it does have amazing cardstock. I don't know what it is, like why this one feels so different to shuffle. Who puts this one out? Because I don't. I keep it in this cute Peggy bag, so I don't have the tuck box. Shall we Google? Like, look at this King of Pentacles all green. Because I was gonna say, the cardstock on this one is incredible to shuffle. So who's the one who makes this? It is US Games, huh? I stand corrected. Okay, love that for them. So yeah, I don't know, it's different than anything else US Games I have though. It's just the best, most amazing cardstock, so it's fun to shuffle. It's got these really vibrant, sometimes kind of wacky colors in there. Look at that orange. And so honestly, the reason I don't use like direct versions of very classic decks is because I just don't find it that exciting. So sorry. So sorry to the people who like really love that kind of thing. It's just not for me. So if I'm going to use one, there needs to be some kind of element of like, oh, this is like different than something I usually see. And so the colors in this one, I really love. So this is my choice for the old-fashioned, or my favorite classic tarot deck, and that's the Albano Waite version of the RWS. Next up is the Gin and Tonic. The question for this one is a simple deck for quick, to-the-point readings. I knew what mine was going to be right away, and I've got an Oracle deck for this one. It's the Compendium of Constellations. I was just thinking about like, okay, what do I use when I really want something quick and I don't have to think twice about it? And it just has to be this deck, because there's so many cards, but it has these amazing keywords for each of the constellations. So this is a deck where, you know, I can definitely spend a good amount of time with it if I want to really specifically get into the constellation aspect of it. Since I'm not familiar with all of these constellations, there is something I can learn about every single one of them. But I don't have to use it that way, and honestly, often, most of the time, the way I use it is really just looking at the keywords and getting I like to pull a few cards and just do a reading based off the keywords, and something about that method of reading is just the quickest for me because I'm not really looking at what's on the card and trying to interpret that too. There isn't, you know, like a tarot meaning to kind of get into, think of which angle it is I want to look at. I'm just looking at the keywords. So it's basically, what does that word mean? What does this string of words mean together? And that's it. That's the message. And so I really enjoy it for that reason. It's very straightforward, to the point. I can use it in a really kind of just quick and snappy way. I love it. So that is my gin and tonic deck, the Compendium of Constellations. Our next cocktail we're looking at is the Spritz. Now this is a deck to cheer you up. Now, I've got a lot of decks that can fit into this category. If I'm thinking about it broadly, technically all of them could, because special interest. That's how that works, baby. But also, I like bright, happy, colorful things, so a lot of my decks tend to lean that direction. So I decided to just go with what's doing that for me at this very moment. And for the past few weeks, that's been the new Zoomies Tarot by Zeppelin Moon. The creator of my beloved Blooming Lovelies. That could go here too, but since this has been the new toy, so to speak, I figured I'd pull this one out. I don't know, everything about this puts me in a good mood. I love the phrases, I love the art style. It's like, come on, how can you be in a bad mood when you pull these little guys? It's just weird and wonderful. All the above. I'm not having many words today. Many descriptors. I think because these questions are so, they're just such good questions that it's sort of like, I don't know, like, here's my answer. And I feel like the answer, like, this makes sense. It just really cheers me up. Like, that's so funny. I love just the quirkiness of this deck. It never fails to make me giggle one way or another. And I'm very much enjoying getting to know it. It's so much fun. So that's absolutely my Spritz deck right now. That is the Zoomies Tarot. All right, next is the Dirty Martini. A strong and so... What, am I reading that? Oh my gosh, sorry. I just read that so weird in my head. My brain was working quicker than my mouth. Okay, strong and salty, a deck that doesn't hold back. This was a quick answer for me. It's the Barbara Walker, and I think many of us feel this way about this deck. She is strong and she is salty, that is for sure. I really enjoy this deck. It has such an intense feminist lean, but it's filled with so many fascinating things, like just a lot of mythology, a lot of ideas going on in this deck that I'm fascinated by it. And the keywords are interesting, just everything about it is interesting. And so I feel it's very strong in that way of like, it's doing its own thing, and You better not question that. You know what I mean? But then on top of that, the way it reads, she can be a little mean. She is definitely a little salty. Like, this is not a deck I would go to if I'm, like, in a soft and squishy place, because I just don't think this is a deck that's got that kind of empathy. You know what I mean? Like, but if you need a kick in the booty, this is a great one for that. Yeah, this is by far probably my strongest and saltiest deck. So, my Dirty Martini deck is the Barbara Walker Tarot. Next up is the Pina Colada, which, oh my gosh, I love those so much, but also, I mean, we can't think of that without thinking of that Rupert Holmes song, right? Right. Anyways, the Pina Colada, this is a deck for a summer holiday. And for me, that is definitely the messages from the Mermaids Oracle. I love this deck so much. I actually originally got this to go on a beach vacation just about like a year ago now? Well, more than like a year and a half, perhaps. I don't know. Whatever. And because I didn't really have any beachy, oceany decks, because I do not live in an area where that's prevalent. And naturally, I like my decks to match my surroundings a lot of the times, and this just felt like an extreme shift away from that. Like any kind of oceany thing just did, I mean. But I got this for that vacation, and I brought a few decks with me, but I'm pretty sure I used this like every single day. I loved it so much. It fit the setting so well. I loved the messages, the artwork, and this is one that I'm glad I chose this, because I was a little I wasn't gonna get something like new to go on vacation per se, but I wanted to get this one because I got it used for pretty cheap. Because I was also like, well, what if I don't want to use it, like, outside of that context, which I don't really end up in that kind of world much. But that hasn't played out. I've used it quite a bit, even just at home, where there is no beach in sight, because I just think it's got such awesome mermaid energy, and I really like it. I'm not one for water decks, is what I'm trying to say, but I really, really enjoy this one. So that is definitely, I love the color. I edged it into this like teal, so pretty. So that is my Pina Colada deck, and that is the messages from the Mermaids Oracle. Alright, now we've got the Hot Totty, which I've never had one of those before, and I'm intrigued. It kind of sounds amazing. But this is a comforting deck for cold winter nights. Now, I immediately wrote my choice down, but I have now just realized, because I've just been grabbing my decks as I go so I don't make a huge mess, it's packed away. Because I take my holiday-themed decks and I pack them away with my decorations. I got that tip from Meg from Rose Honey Ritual. She said she did that, and I was like, what? That is so smart. Because I pretty much only use them in that holiday season, so then it becomes like a fun thing that when I get out my decorations, the decks come out too. Anyway, so the one I picked is with my Christmas decorations, and I really didn't want to dig through and get it out. So I got just another version by the same creator. So my initial choice was the Yuletide Tales Lenormand by Fana Laura. But we're going to look at today the Nocturnal Garden Lenormand by Fana Laura. And this is also a great one, I think, for a cold winter's night. So this works too. Because it's really all about her art for me. Something about like this folk art feel where it feels like really true to folk tales, where there's the creepy elements, but also they're like just, it's so beautiful. Something about that kind of illustration feels really cozy to me. And so I picked the Yuletide tales because like that is the winter one to me, where this one feels a bit more like I tend to use this one in the fall and also just year round pretty much. But when it comes down to it, it's really about Faye Laura's artwork. And I just, something about it is so cozy. So really I could insert any of her decks into this category, but interestingly, I really like her Lenormand decks. Even though I'm not a huge Lenormand reader yet, I am learning, which I'm so excited about. Lisa is doing a, like, learn along together on her channel, which I'm so excited about. Because it's one of those things where it's like, I've got a grasp on reading with it, it's just, I need like more practice, you know what I mean? So yeah, anyway, that is my hot toddy deck, and it is the, we're gonna say just Faye Laura. But this one's the Nocturnal Garden Lenormand, and I will also link below the Yuletide Tales Lenormand. Next up, we've got my personal favorite cocktail, the Espresso Martini. So this is a deck to energize or pep you up. And my choice for this is the Rainbow Tarot. Now this is the indie version, but there is a mass market version out now that looks really good, which is so exciting. But, I mean, already from the start. I just love the colors, the illustration style, like just, I don't even know how you would describe like something, including something like that on the box, like almost, what's the word? Kind of like just a little quirky, I guess? I don't know. I hate using that word because it makes me think of like that Demi Lovato bean. Anyway, I love the back so much. Even though it's like already I'm like, yes, life is good. You know what I mean? Like this is just one of those decks where, first of all, it's pretty much, I think it's actually really kind of a mix of RWS and Marseille style. The majors are done in Marseille style, but then the minors are RWS, so it's an easy reader for me. But with all these colors and something about the illustration style, it's just one of those decks I can pull out and I'm like, yes, life is good, I can do anything. It really does feel energizing using this deck. And so I pretty much use it when it's like, I need to get it going here. It's really good for that. I love all the colors, like really do. It's such a fun deck, and I feel like totally feels like an espresso martini, or even if you just had an espresso shot just plain. That's what this deck feels like to me. Because it's a bit loud, but the colors are loud, but then it's also kind of contained, which I feel like is very espresso martini to me. So, oh, I love that double card. This is my espresso martini deck. It's the Rainbow Tarot. Next up, we've got the Manhattan. This is a sipping drink, a deck to take your time with. This was another easy answer for me, because it's the one I have just realized and am really taking my time with, and that is the Shining Tribe Tarot by Rachel Pollack, which I have in this bag. There is a new version out. This is the, I don't know, I think there's a couple editions. This is the edition before the current one, I want to say. I don't know. I got it on Amazon, but that to say, you can very much get this deck. I just don't know if it'll look the same as this. I have no idea. Anyway, so this is the tarot deck completely created by Rachel Pollack, like illustrated and written. It is so interesting. I bought this after reading her that last book that she had published, which was the Walk Through the Forest of Souls. I loved it so much, and throughout it she made reference and showed images from her deck, and I wanted to know more. And it really is so interesting, but should I show the guidebook? And are we gonna be surprised that this is... So that's how thick it is. How many pages is it? 331 pages, and it is like... I don't even know. It's a book size, you know what I mean? It's like its own little textbook for this deck. Similar to like, what's that one called? The Arthurian? The one with the Hollow Quest in it? It's like the same size as that book, but without like, there's not like an extra quest or something. It's like, it's the cards. So there's a lot about each of the cards, and so I tried just doing like my daily pulls with this, and it was like, okay, no. I have to do something different with this deck. I really have to like sit with one card at a time, I feel like, and really just read and absorb what's going on in the book, because, I mean, we all know, Rachel Pollack, such a smart lady, and she just, it felt like she just had this, I don't know, like hidden knowledge almost. And so I'm really excited to just really go into this. And I think what I'm gonna do is, oh my gosh, I'm losing my voice, excuse me. Are we back? We're back, okay. I think I'm gonna try like a weekly poll or something with this. I think that could be really good. To just have a card per week with this, so I can kind of like reflect on it throughout a whole week. I don't know, we'll see, but I'm excited about it. But it's definitely one that feels very slow to me because it's so different than an RWS. Like the images, I mean, so it's like you want to know what's going on, but then it's like you really gotta strap in, baby, and buckle up. Because there's a lot of info. But I'm excited about it. Anyway, that is my Manhattan deck, and that is the Shining Tribe Tarot. Next up, we've got the Mojito, which I also love those. Those are so good. But this is a palette cleanser, a deck to reset. And this is one that is not new to me, but it's a new repurchase. So I haven't had it for quite a few years, so I'm considering it new. We're starting over. But it really does feel like such a palette cleanser. And that's the Tarot de Carlotydes. I doubt I'm saying that right, so apologies. Which I know there is kind of a lot going on in this deck too, in terms of like pop culture references, things like that. But I don't know, something about the vibe of this deck, the coloring, just the layout of the cards too, feels very fresh and neutral to me. And I think that's what made me pick it, is that I, if you haven't been able to tell, absolutely personify all of my decks. And I personally find it rare to find something that feels very neutral in its tone, and this is one of those decks, and it's just the one I've been really kind of loving for this specific purpose lately. Not to say I don't have others. I think other ones definitely could be like Pagan Otherworlds feels that way to me. That's all that's in my head. End of list right now. But I've had this on my deck, my on my desk since I got it. How beautiful is that? And I just use it a lot for just to kind of have that neutral tone. It definitely feels very palette cleansing to me. Something about, I think, just the colors, the illustration style. I don't know. It feels kind of just refreshing. I think that's the right word for it. It doesn't lean too heavy in any sort of direction. It feels neutral and clean and nice. You know what I mean? Just like a mojito. So that is my mojito deck, the Tarot de Carlotydes. Alright, next up is the Bloody Mary, which that was my grandma's all-time favorite drink. It always makes me think of her. I personally think they're gross. Something about a savory drink, I just cannot do it. But she loved them. Anyway, so the Bloody Mary, this is the problem solver. Such an interesting prompt, I loved it. And for this one, I went with the Power of Surrender cards. Now there's a very specific problem solver vibe with these. I chose this because for me, this deck is a problem solver, but it's like a let's cut right to the chase and call you on your crap. That's what this one feels like to me. It's like, and also too, it's like I can pull one card and I know exactly what it's talking about. I know exactly what it's trying to say and point out. It's a very strong deck. Like surrender your belief in scarcity. I mean, come on, surrender the idea you can fix someone. I mean, it feels problem solving to me in the terms of like, it's not going to help you sort of like map out the plan, but I think if you're feeling, I don't know, like you're feeling off or confused and you don't know why, this deck is going to be the problem solver and like, here's why. And I guess the sort of problem solving I need. This really does the trick. And I do love, it does feel very balanced to me, even though it's very kind of strong, like surrender procrastination. That's a problem solve because I often am procrastinating. Surrender to receiving support and love. Like it does feel balanced, even though it's kind of always calling me out. It does always point out the problem, so to be fair, problem solver. So that is my Bloody Mary deck, and that is the Power of Surrender cards. Alright, next up we've got the French 75, which I've never heard of. Actually, these next two I've never heard of, which is so fun. So this is a deck for special occasions, and mine hands down for this kind of prompt is the Cat Tarot. This is one that it's just kind of become one for special occasions. This is my first ever tarot deck. And so, I don't know, I think because it was my first one, it was pretty much the only one I had for quite some time. It has a special place in my collection. But it also has really become Stevie's deck. Because it's just got such perfect cat energy. And when I was learning tarot, I did readings pretty exclusively for Stevie. Because it was, like right before COVID started. And so I had this deck, and then COVID started, and I was like, well, I guess now is the time to learn it, so it was just us. And I did a lot of readings for her, and so now it's just like, this is her deck. And so I really only use it on special occasions, just, I don't know, because it feels really special to me, and I still mostly only use it for readings for her, which we kind of do on special occasions. Oh, but I love it so much. This creator now has a dog version of this deck out. If you're a dog person, I highly recommend. Even though I don't have dogs, I love dogs. So I'm kind of tempted to get it, because I think it would also be super cool to do a reading with both of them. Here's my idea. Thinking of, like, cats are often associated with, like, moon energy, mystery, what's hidden underneath, where dogs are very, like, sun energy, outward, outgoing, expressive. I think it'd be cool to do a reading where the dog tarot is, like, what's above, what's known, what's seen, and the cat tarot is like what's below, what's hidden, what is being left up to mystery. I think that'd be so cool. But this is definitely my special occasion deck, and that is the cat tarot. Alright, next up we've got the Aviation, which I've never heard of before, so I'm purely gonna go off of Imogen's description of the drink anyway. Apparently it's just like kind of a drink that's like, it seemed like it was like an odd mixture, like you wouldn't think to put it together, but then it was kind of like, oh, but like this is good, question mark? So, the prompt here is the wild card, something a little different. Now I really leaned into that idea of like, what is this we're putting together? Why does it work? So my pick for this is the Witch's Familiars Oracle. I just can't believe I talk about this so much. It's just one of those things that's like, what? Why does she like it that much? But I just do. Like, truly, all of the elements, well, I'm gonna say almost all of the elements of this deck should be something that I don't like at all. But I've had it for years now. I've never questioned once, like, having it leave, because I use it all the time. It reads so well, and to the point where, like, I always use this for prompts like this, but I'm starting to, like, is it, like, I don't know. What do they call that when it's like you just like are with something so long you're like, is it even that? Is it even bad? And it's not. But I think we're gonna see a shift where like I stop using it for these kinds of prompts and I'm just like, no, I think it's amazing and really so good. Because I do. I'm starting to just like really. So I say that, okay, because the art is a bit cheesy. It's very CGI, like, or not CGI, but like digital art, but somewhat strangely done. And then these borders, you know what I mean? But I'm starting to actually like really think it's so good. Like, I really like it. Just the style of it. I'm like, wait, no, is this just witchy camp? Oh, I just really like it. But it's a wild card for me for sure, because it just it feels to me at least like something that I shouldn't like, but I just really do. So that is my Aviation, the Witch's Familiars Oracle. Alright, and last but not least, we've got the Frozen Margarita, which I also love those. And well, I'm more of a on the rocks kind of girl when it comes to margaritas, but anyway, besides the point. This is your most used deck, and for me, I have to be a little lame. But it's because it's true! It's the Cottage Witch Oracle. I know, lame. Blech. Anyway. But, I mean, if we're talking truly, like, overall most used deck, of course it's this one! I mean, I originally created it as a tool for myself. It completely aligns with my practice, but beyond that, I mean, of course I really like it! Oh my gosh. Eek. But the design idea was also to make it so that it pairs well with a wide variety of decks, which I feel it does. And I also love seeing, like, first of all, other people using it in general, crazy to me, but also seeing other people's pairings is so fun, and I think it's just really aesthetically versatile, reading-wise versatile. I use it in a lot of different ways. I use it all the time. It's always near me. And I love her! My creation! That's all I got. That's all the words I have to say. And I also really love to, like, with the different expansion packs, I switch out cards seasonally. So it's kind of like this organic, moving, living, breathing thing that's always changing. And I think that's what makes me love it even more. So, that is my margarita deck, the Cottage Witch Oracle. And that, my friends, was the last prompt. This was so much fun. Truly, thank you so much to Imogen from Sapling Tarot for making this VR. Please, if you ever have ideas for more, do not hesitate, because this was genius and just so much fun. But other than that, I hope you're all having a wonderful day so far, and I'll see you again very soon.